Salutations everyone, this is Razor here talking today once again about Bayonetta. Now I remember making a video about Bayonetta and some controversial statements that certain organizations were making across the globe about banning Bayonetta from play, and that was its whole own thing. While a lot of the conversation hasn't changed, since the patch that, the latest patch of the game actually, that really only focused on nerfing Bayonetta, was definitely very warranted and was seeming to be a problem. And the way that it was handled on the, the top echelon of play was that players mostly had like a soft ban on her, and that the top players just didn't play Bayonetta. Some were on up and coming, like Komori Kiri. Like those vines that we saw of him, those Giphy cats of those crazy zero death combos that he got, the second that Bayo came out, and as well as QB, they were kind of like the pioneers in the Japanese world of Bayonetta, and then she was just kind of slumming around in America. But then we had, started getting Salem, and Komori Kiri started traveling to the US a lot more, and then we had Captain Zack and a bunch of others all around the place, to where she was on the grand stage. She was making, Captain Zack was making top 8s consistently, and we have known for, a long time, like both Mewtwo King and Zero had been saying for, better part of a year, that Salem's probably like a top 5, top 3 player in the game. Not just with his Bayonetta, but, take a look at what his Samus did, with, against Mewtwo King in some, fun little friendlies here and there. But the fact that she became a staple part of the roster, the top tiers or, the high tiers, she was something that was up there. But remember, the way that people perceive a character changes drastically when nothing happens to the character. Obviously we could go back to like more extreme cases where Smash was still very young and take a look at like the first Melee tier roster where Jigglypuff and Captain Falcon were both so super duper low compared to where they are right now. And there were other characters that were considered to be way better than they were. Sheik was #1 for such a long time, even though there were no balance changes done to that game. And in Brawl, those tier lists fluctuated a lot as well. And in Smash, while there has been a lot of patches and updates, we haven't seen as much fluctuation. Like, for instance, Sheik has been nerfed like 450,000 times, still top tier. Diddy got hard nerfed twice, still top 2 in the game. And, we see, like, when Roy was coming out, people were like, oh, he's super overpowered, he's broken. And then he comes out, and then nothing happens, almost nobody picks up Roy, and everything's fine. Bayonetta comes out, and she's super duper ridiculous against these zero deaths. People are like, ooh, this is crazy shit. And then she gets nerfed, and a lot of top players, I'm talking top 5, top 10 players in the world, after Bayonetta got nerfed, they're like, oh yeah, she's maybe 15 at best right now. So you can't really take a lot of people for what they say, no matter how experienced or knowledgeable they may be, YouTubers, commentators, top players. The way that Smash as a game evolves is very much a victim of how it's perceived in the now and then. And when Bayonetta got nerfed, a lot of people were like, yeah, she's nowhere near top 10 anymore. She's 15. I think the highest I saw people rate her was like 12, even 2-3 months after the nerf, because, oh, she can't do the zero to death, her downward afterburner kick, the dab kick, can't do those crazy elevator combos anymore. She's still kind of nice, witch time, good recovery, yada, yada, yada. Let's just start talking about, Diddy and Sheik, and oh, Marth's on the rise, and oh, Cloud, oh my god, he's insanely broken, and we still haven't really seen him, take a top turn, rather be like an A tier or an S tier, maybe some counter picks here and there, but never like, winning a tournament or things like that. And, he's still amazing in doubles. But that just goes to show that the way that the game is perceived, the way that characters and quote-unquote tier lists are perceived, are very much a victim of how they are perceived in the then and now. Because there are things that have not changed since the last patch, and now everyone's saying Bayonetta, top character in the game. And I think Bayonetta is. Top 2, I think, is Diddy and Bayo. I've kind of fluctuated here and there. And that's just the way that the game works. Like with Melee or Brawl or things that, don't get patches, the way that the meta evolves drastically changes how certain matchups are perceived, how good certain characters can be, how, counter picks can work into play, and how characters can all of a sudden just fall completely out. Why some characters are regarded as so good, yet so few people play them. So there's a lot of things at the works. But when it comes to Bayonetta, she had not won a major until Evo, where Salem went on a crazy run and beat Zero, the best in the world, in grand finals, 3-2, 3-2. It was insane. And then week later, DreamHack, and he wins that one. So then people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Bayonetta, is she a problem? Should we ban her? And a lot of people have, made their thoughts on that and made videos on that. And it's, I understand why people want to talk about it, because it's such a polarizing thing, and she's such a strong character and a different character than what any other character is capable of doing within this franchise. She has like the best recovery. She cannot be edge guarded almost at all. I'm not saying completely. I've talked about certain matchups where it's like, this is one of the few characters that can actually do something against Bayonetta when she's, recovering back to the stage. But she has such a safe recovery, and it's insane. Like, you could spike that bitch, she still comes back like it's nothing because she has 46,000 jumps. And Witch Time is so incredibly strong. It's a 0 to death machine. It's unlike anything else in the game. It doesn't matter at what percent you get Witch Time. If you get a counter, if you get a vision and you hit, and you vision, say, Villager's Tree, like one of the strongest attacks in the game. You do that against, Villager at 0%, that can be quite devastating. But if you counter a jab, that's not going to do anything. When it comes to Witch Time, it doesn't matter what she counters or what the percent is. She still gets all the time in the world to set up these crazy edge guards that are guaranteed kills, or these huge 0 to death combos, or, huge things that could, start killing at 0, 10, 12, 15%, and you can kill at 38. Or what have you, off the top, based off of whether you hit your up tilts, you charge your smashes, or if you use the Witch Time or the Witch Twists perfectly. There's a lot of variables in there, but it's still unlike any other move in the game. And I'm not saying that she's completely balanced. I don't think she should be banned, and she isn't a problem yet. Much like ledge grabbing, there being a ledge grab limit in Melee, people are like, oh, should we have a ledge guard limit? It's like, it's not even a problem yet, the timeouts, they're happening left and right. There have been like 5 timeouts in this entire season. That's less than 1% of all matches that happen in Melee. It's not a problem, so we don't need to address something until it becomes a problem. Meta Knight and Brawl, that started to become a problem because almost all the top players were using them. Meta Knight wasn't the end all be all. Meta Knight wasn't a gate like Ices was. Ices made certain characters unusable because of how they played the Ices matchup, while Meta Knight was sure the strongest character, but Ices had a much bigger impact on what characters you could play in that game in a top tier level tournament because of Ices would be there. People are saying that Bayonetta made some bad players good, or some players that weren't in top 16 or top 32 or top 8. Now all of a sudden, they're winning stuff. Salem was a Zero Suit Samus player in Brawl, and he would win grand finals where the rest of top 5 would be Meta Knights. So he's been on the opposite end of the spectrum. We know Salem's good. We know he's amazing with other characters and in other Smash games. We know that, Komori Kiri was good before Bayonetta, and he's good after Bayonetta, and he doesn't mostly ever use Bayonetta almost at all. I think we've seen him use Bayonetta in at least a Western tournament twice this season. And, QB hasn't been getting the same results, but you could say the same of Vinny or Mr. R or, Esam. People fluctuate all the time. Look at all the people that missed Evo that were in top 8 last year, or, the previous year that didn't make it last year. Things happen all the time, and because Smash 4 is such a balanced game, comparatively, not just to other Smash games, but to other fighting games, it's just a testament to how unpredictable it can be, and is also a testament to just how great and dominant Zero is, to just have that insane run, and then continue to be the best, even after dropping Sheik and picking and, sticking with solo Diddy. Even though maybe you would say that Diddy was the better character at the time, but, you know, all the nerfs that came to Sheik, a change was going to be made. So we know that Salem was always great, and we've known that Bayo was always great, but she didn't win a major until CEO. And now she's won 2 in a row. People got to start talking, but it's not like top 8 is 5, 6, or 7, or 8 Bayos. It's 2 at most of the time. So Bayonetta isn't a problem. Yes, she's very strong. I think Witch Time is insanely strong and shouldn't be. I think Bat Within is broken bullshit because it allows you to survive anything in the game for free, frame 1, and then you can get a punish out of that. It's insane. Bat Within is the BS within. It's broken. She has the strongest aerial game. She can 0 to death, unlike any other character. Best recovery. You can't ledge card her virtually at all, especially, you know, against, you know, the characters that you'll typically see in a top 8. They aren't going to be able to do very much against Bayo. And she has all of these tools. People say, oh, she's not that great in neutral. She doesn't have amazing grabs. Her forward throw can kill. It's going to kill, you know, earlier than Marth's up throw is going to, or Link's up throw, or, you know, other quote-unquote kill throws that, you know, really don't start killing till 150, 170, you know, in many situations. It's not, you know, Ness's back throw, obviously, but it can kill. She's got the bullets. She's got range. She's got the tilts that are insane. The fair 1-2, the 1-to-1, the 1-2-3 to 1-2-3. You can do some insane things with Bayonetta, but she isn't even a staple in, you know, grand finals, winners finals, or losers finals yet. Salem's the only guy who's gone the distance, even though we've seen things from Captain Zack and Hubie and other Bayonetta players, and we have seen some up-and-comers in these last couple of tournaments, but Bayonetta isn't a problem. She isn't all that prevalent, you know, not nearly as prevalent as like Sheik was 3 years ago, or even Mario was 2 years ago, and she isn't dominant. We have some dominant players playing a dominant character, but what's new for that? Yes, she's annoying. She should be more brought down to earth in the game. I don't think there'll be any more patches to come out for Smash Bros. Wii U. People talk about Switch and blah, 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 DLC characters that may or may not happen. That doesn't seem very likely anymore because of the time that's gone by. But this is the game that we have. And this is the only game and only Smash game where we've had, you know, balances. We've had patches to make characters like Bowser all of a sudden, you know, become a very useful character, or to give combos to characters that didn't, or gives, you know, a throw a use, like, you know, down throw for Link, or, you know, something like that. And that's nice and has really, really helped the game. But Bayo isn't an issue, and until she hasn't even become close to what Meta Knight was in Brawl, and even that was a sticky situation to how the ban happened that for Meta Knight that didn't actually happen because it wasn't enforced and people kept playing it, and the viewership and the money and all that stuff. But this is how we see things right now, and I think people, as always, are getting really overzealous with their thoughts of even contemplating Bayonetta bans, because that's just really silly at this point. But let me know what you think in the comments below.